Morning kids, welcome in this online session of class 8, chapter 2. Now in the previous chapter we discussed about this lesson and the lesson basic theories, in which we have also learned that how this all spheres or the spheres which I taught you earlier in my previous lecture helped us, or it is helping earth to sustain the life and the development and many more things over the earth. Now one thing we need to very much pretty sure clear about that earth is made up of very several elements, or we can say that the different spheres. Now all the spheres are actually needing to generate the lifestyle, to generate the life circle, water cycle, air pressure, insolation about the sun, and many more things related to the daily life activities also. And without any sphere, without a single sphere also, we are not gonna survive. So all the spheres are very important, and no of the sphere is somehow can be compared to the less important sphere of the earth. Now as we discussed in my previous lecture that all the spheres are responsible to sustain the life on the earth, as I have discussed you in the previous lecture. And I also maintain you to understand that what is lithosphere. I started from the lithosphere. So taking the recap of the previous other lectures, we started from the lithosphere. Also I made you to understand what is the sun and from where the earth came, from what is the we can understand that what is the origination of the earth, which theory it is belonging to, in which case and category the earth was developed, and is it a part of sun, yes or no. That also we cleared the theory in my previous lecture. So moving further, lithosphere, if I go in the recap of the previous lectures, I made you to explain the lithosphere, that the sphere of the rock. And also I made you to understand, my dear students, that lithosphere is the sphere which is responsible to sustain all the materialistic development over the earth, whether it is we can say whether it is river, water, or we can say that it is like mountain, or it is more apart from the mountain to the houses, buildings, schools, we can say any religious places, heritageal places, industries, and many more things are situated, or we can say they are constructed only on the lithosphere. So lithosphere is very important to us, as I have discussed you in my previous lecture. And moving further, I made you to also understand about the hydrosphere. See, my dear student, I am teaching you right now to the recap. I am teaching you materials or the thinking thoughts related to the previous recaps or the previous lectures. So hydrosphere, I made you to understand that what is hydrosphere, what amount of water is available on the earth. Apart from that, what amount of fresh water is available for the drinking, for the people, for the bird creature, all the things here, for the living creatures. And also if I talk about, I also discussed that how nicely all the spheres are relating with each other. They all support each other, and therefore we moved on the biosphere too. So in the biosphere also I made you to understand that it comprises of almost all the spheres. And then atmosphere too here, that what is atmosphere, 1600 kilometer wide span, or we can say the atmosphere is extending from the surface to the upwards towards the sky. So that's also general theory I made you understand. So today's lecture, moving towards that, today's lecture is depending on these basic theories. Now this thing was also taught by me in my previous lecture, but I'll try to make you understand that actually what kind of this graph displaying to you, what kind of information this is displaying. So now if you talk about the level of oxygen, see my dear students, the level of oxygen which is covering this space area is related only with the 20.99%. Okay, so that is the oxygen level. If we go more further in the detail, then if I talk about the nitrogen, now what is nitrogen? Let's talk about the nitrogen. Nitrogen is also comprised of the some particles of oxygen, but most of particles of the nitrogen only, and nitrogen is available, we can say that, into 78% about the percentage also in the volume wise. So if I go more further, other gases means the mixture gases. Now what are the mixture of the gases? In the mixture of the gases, it can be other mixture gases also, in which we can say some pollutant gases are also there and some pollutant free gases are also there. So this is actually one of the part where we can describe that, okay, this is the mixture of the other gases, which is somehow 0.98% present inside the atmosphere. So this is a basic graph where we can say amount of the gases in the atmosphere and their quantity. So by this graph we can understand कि what amount of oxygen is available, what amount of nitrogen is available, what amount of, we can say that, okay, what amount of other gases are also available. So if I talk about the nitrogen, especially about the nitrogen, it consists like very less or like no amount of water. But when nitrogen consists itself some amount of oxygen also, then there is availability of the water, because oxygen consists of humidity, means air consists of humidity, and humidity means the presence of molecules of the water, means the hydrogen inside the air. Thus we can say that nitrogen somehow also is comprised of the mixture of some slight gases, okay, not the most amount but minute amount, or we can say that some very low quantity amount of the other gases too here. So today's lecture is depending upon the basic theories about the atmosphere, okay, then biosphere related to human, and the effect of human activities on the spheres. Let's talk about the basic terms related to the atmosphere, which I started in my previous lecture also. So as I made you understand, my dear students, okay, when we go higher, see, when we go higher from the surface of the earth, the amount of gases, we can say that the amount of gases of the atmosphere slowly decreases. Now if the atmosphere is decreasing its gases, obviously there are the chances that we are unable to breathe, or we need some heavy breath. Why? Because we find oxygen very less in the amount. So if I talk about the atmosphere, this word, my dear student, we need to take atmosphere means oxygen very high amount of the amount in the volume or amount in the quantity when we move upper surface from the ground level. For example, if you climb the mountain, if you do the trekking, if you go on the Everest climbing and all, or if we are in the plane, or we can say that if we are in the aircraft and all, we need extra amount of oxygen, because there is availability of the oxygen is less. So as much you move far from the lithosphere, that much you will be needing oxygen more, or we can say that much oxygen level will be decreased out. That you should remember. So let's move further. Ozone gas. Now we'll talk about the ozone gas. What is ozone gas? Ozone gas is also comprises of these kinds of gases, where we can say that ozone gas comprises of very small proportion of the air in it. It's not large proportion. So very small proportion of the air is in it, in the ozone gas, and therefore the gas absorbs the ultraviolet rays from the sun. Okay, UV rays from the sun. Same as it also protects earth from the excessive heat burn also, or we can say that from the excessive insulation to here, because sun is a fireball and it is giving heat maximum in the amount. So in that case, ozone is a very well protector to the earth, and we all are living under the ozone gas. So this is also, we can say that the proportion of ozone gas is much in the morning time, that you can observe, and the proportion of ozone gas less is there in the afternoon. So that's why in the afternoon we can say that we feel heat maximum, and in the morning we feel somehow cold maximum. So gases like oxygen, nitrogen plays a very vital role for the living creature and the earth also, and due to heat water in this we can say due to heat created by the sun, the water is becoming vapor, and it is taken away from the surface of earth to the clouds. So that can be also forming rain from the rain cycle or from the water cycle. So these all the theory we need to understand here. So when the vapor is also somehow cooled out, if I talk about the vapor, when it is cooled out from the plant, trees and many more other things, we can say that it is somehow, we can say, the moisture can be generated there. So this process of cooling of vapor is called condensation, that you should remember. This is known as condensation. And same as various forms of the vapors or various forms of the heats are available on the earth, we can say the temperature could be varying, but from different sources we are getting the heat. So if you go more further, the effect of atmosphere, my dear student, you listen very carefully, the effect of atmosphere is somehow we can say that it is somehow depending on the location wise, or we can say that it is depending that how human beings are dealing with the nature, somehow it is disturbed also. So we can say that the effect of the atmosphere is seen on the human beings also as well, the habitats, their clothings, and their food, their lifestyle, their fairs and festivals, and many more things are also depending according to their, we can say, activities, to their climate and their living atmosphere too. So etc, many things are also related with the atmosphere. And if you talk about, many dust particles are also seen inside the atmosphere. As I have said in my previous lecture, my dear student, without the dust particles we are unable to see through, because light travels over the dust particles, reflects on the object back to your retina to form an image. So this is the whole process here, and we can say that sun rays are also visible due to particles of dust only, as well sunset is also available due to the dust particles only, as you can see the sun rays, sunrise, okay, or the rays of sunset, everything is possible due to the dust particles. So the sun rays are also reflected back with the help of these dust particles, and on the surface of the earth we can see every clear thing here, respective from the light from the sun to the earth. So atmosphere is very necessary as well. We can say that we are also able to listen to the sound due to presence of these atmosphere. That's why we can say that radio as well Doordarshan are also telecasting their telecast services due to possibilities of atmosphere only. If we are not having any kind of atmosphere, then all the signals will be also very weak. So that you need to understand, my dear students. So this is the basic example about the atmosphere. Now we'll move towards the biosphere. Now what is biosphere? See, my dear students, as I have said you that all the spheres are very necessary. Biosphere comprises of the other spheres is also very necessary. Like for example, if I talk about, we take like atmosphere comprises of the different gases, several gases. Biosphere is also somehow comprises of the different kinds of the spheres and the we can say that living creatures too here. So if you talk about the part of lithosphere, see the part of lithosphere and hydrosphere as well the atmosphere, somehow in the living existence life is also can be said as the biosphere. Means all the spheres are comprised here in the biosphere. Furthermore, if you go more further, all the living world is existing in the biosphere. So earth is only known planet for the, somehow we can say, life expectancy also, and the we can say life expectancy, then growth of the human beings also, and many more things. So it is also known as the planet which is having the solar insolation light, which can generate the solar energy also. So this is all actually possible due to the biosphere. So vegetation, animal, insect, human, and other things are also related inside the biosphere. So we can say what we obtained from the biosphere. We obtain food from the biosphere, a very general and essential thing. We obtain many things from the biosphere. Okay, we obtain the medicinal herbs from the biosphere, animals from the biosphere, and thus we can say biosphere is our existence of the living. Without biosphere we are unable to live out. So therefore we can say it is divided into basic two categories. In how many categories, my dear students? Into basic two categories. Now one can be living categories and another can be non-living categories. So if you talk about biosphere, can be depending on the basic two categories, as well as we can say it can be also divided in the spheric level too here. So we can say the two categories can be depending from the lithosphere, hydrosphere, or we can say the biosphere itself, or the atmosphere also. So in this sphere and in this section we need to understand which are living things and which are non-living things, which is also somehow we can say that the part of biosphere. Now if you talk about the atmosphere, form the living things also, as well as we can say while plants and animals, microorganisms and other are also somehow included inside this living world. So plant is also inside the living world because it is growing. So this is one of the example about the biosphere. Now what the human beings are doing. See, you can see on the page number 10 and 11 the figure given about the biosphere. Now human being is developing, that is good thing, but in the developing we can say that human beings are most often hurting the nature, they are affecting the nature, and also they are trying to deteriorate the nature, not to update but deteriorate the nature. So here we would like to discuss something, I would like to discuss something with you. See, human needs have been taken under any and many activities in the improvement of science and technology. As I have said you, science comes with D square, D for destruction and D for development also. So we moved today towards the development, forgetting the destructions, and we destruct the nature here. So we can say due to this we can say imbalance is created inside the atmosphere, and if the imbalance is there, you know what is going to happen here? All the spheres are not going to work properly. So this is also one part of the theory where we need to understand that biosphere is the sphere where we need to take more and more amount of protections and precautions too. And with the protection we can say that we need to also understand that importing the extra machineries as well, the testing of nuclear weapon, bore inside the land, we are doing bore inside the land, okay, underground borings and all, many more things are hurting the lithosphere also. It means that I'm talking about how the human being destructed most of the spheres, my dear students. So here the dumping of the waste is also like waste pollution, or we can say that land pollution is there, water pollution is there, air pollution is there, forest pollution is there, trees and plants pollutions are there, many more pollutions are there which we are responsible for that. So if you go more further, due to this kinds of all the bad activities, the heat is increasing, the trees are less in the plants, the rainwater cycle has been somehow disturbed, so the extra amount of heat is coming, and therefore polar caps are melting. Now when the polar caps are melting, there is an extra amount of proportion released towards the water or towards the seas areas also. So we can say that polar caps are started to melt out, increasing into the somehow we can say heat also, due to the increase of heat, and the oil spills of the ship also can be causing the dead decaying body for these animals which are living inside the water, the creature, aquatic animals too here. And we can say harmful gases also lightly, or we can say heavily disturb the nature. Also they create the hole inside the atmosphere and in the ozone layer also here. So we can say atmosphere is also furthermore disturbed here. So we can understand that hydrosphere is also disturbed, atmosphere is also disturbed, lithosphere is also disturbed, and many more spheres are disturbed in this value of the category. And if you go literally more further, then we can see that the areas with the higher frequency, of the vehicle shows increased rate of the carbon too here, cutting of the trees, then heat increasing, improvement of the vehicles, carbon monoxide is released towards the nature, and many more things are happening. So we can say in the atmosphere CO2 gas is released out. Now when the CO2 gas is released out, in this way human activities are actually harming to the nature as well. They are also forgetting that they are due to the nature, not nature is due to them. If the nature is there, human beings and all the living organisms are there. If the nature is defected, if the nature is affected, obviously our life will be in danger. So we can say the nurturing and the links about somehow we can say that nature and grading, updating can be or should be generated. Rather to exploit the nature and environment, we can update our natural elements, natural substance, and also we can generally update our all the systems of the environment. So we can say that to make this kinds of thing, projects have been taken care. Some of the projects are there, for example Save Trees are there, Chipko Andolan is there, Save Ganga river water in India started, Save River Water started, and then Go Green are there. Like this many other kinds of the we can say that like projects are working behind this to save the nature. And if we are not somehow supporting this kinds of project, then we can conserve ourselves, we can consist ourselves as an anti-social person, means we are not doing any social work, we are not thinking about the nature also. So it is our responsibility to take care of the nature and also to love nature, because love nature, love motherland is the only thing which we need to do to support this nation. So my dear students, this lecture was till here only. I hope you enjoyed the lecture as well as you got the basic and updated information related to the chapter 2, what is around us. And also I hope you might have cleared your doubts and theories related that what is earth made up, what is earth cycle, what is earth's surface, how it is made up, what is core, and what is atmosphere, and what are the other basic layers of the spheres also. So we'll meet in the other chapter and I'll teach you the other basic theories related to the next lesson. This was the end part of this theory, and also here I'm telling you that you should revise this lesson once again, make the notebooks also of the lessons and the subject, write the question answers, and also you can go with the basic theories. And if you want to learn more about the earth, you can search over the discovery channels, or you can say websites, or also you can search on the YouTube about the science and theory examples. So this lecture is still here only. Take care. Thank you. Keep revising. Jai Hind.